Welcome back to 1010's podcast. My name is Michael with Adam and Robbie, and we're in the King of Motorsports studios again this week. And on the phone, we have well, I guess he was never a guest, but we were a guest on his show.
True.
Jake Reihl, who recently went through a title, or what do you want to say, a job change of sorts, and he is now at the helm of RacersHQ. How's it going, Jake?
It's going good, guys. Yeah, I mean, you guys were one of my first guests on the Rags to Races podcast when I was running that. It's unfortunate that that's going to have to stop. I'm going to put one more episode out directing people to RacersHQ, but now I'm running RacersHQ.
Yeah, that's awesome. So some people that followed RacersHQ or followed us in the early days know that we interviewed Matt, who started the brand a couple years ago now, and he was on our show. And he ran RacersHQ for a year and a half, 2 years, and then I think some people noticed that some of his content was not available anymore, or was kind of slowly being released, not at the schedule he used to. So he's transitioned out of his role with RacersHQ, and it sounds like now you're going to pick things up and run with it.
Absolutely, and it's a good point you brought there. It's your guys' fault I'm where I'm at now. For the first time in my life, and so far only time in my life, I was listening to your guys' interview with Matt and listened to him talking about the website and everything. And I actually paused your show, went to the website and started looking over everything and really got behind what he was doing. And I emailed him on the spot. And from there, it just kind of snowballed downhill. He was one of my first guests right along with you guys on Rags to Races. And eventually I ended up writing for him, and now that he has had to shift his focus somewhere else, I'm taking it over.
Look at that. 1010's podcast, changing lives.
Connecting people, changing lives, making people's lives better.
That's a feel-good story, right?
That is,
Nope,
yeah, it's great.
Nope, better just yet because it's a lot of work, but I'm willing to do it.
So I guess to take a step back, since we didn't interview you on our show while you were doing Rags to Races, tell people a little bit about that and then how you're transitioning out of that and getting into RacersHQ.
So I've been listening to podcasts for several years, and I had noticed that at the time it was sort of when you guys were just starting to get your start, Team Clearcoat was just barely getting their start, that there was really a void filled when it comes to good podcasts with good information for aspiring racers and hobbyist racers. There really wasn't anything there, so I decided, fuck it, I'm going to do my own podcast. I hope I can swear on your show.
You absolutely can swear on the show.
Yeah.
Please continue, sir.
I said, basically I said, fuck it, there's not really anything out there, and I've got a lot of experience throughout the years. I've been crew members on multiple different types of cars. I've actually been right at your doorstep. I've been to Knoxville for a sprint car race and crewed on 2 different sprint cars in one weekend. And, between that, my autocross history and track days and everything else, and I decided I wanted to kind of put my voice out there and try and find other people to share good information for people who want to get involved but maybe don't have the budget. And it kind of blossomed from there. And RacersHQ, while at the same time was doing something similar, they were more concerned, Matt was more concerned about people wanting to go pro. And I still believe that, and I still stand behind that, but I still want to involve the hobbyist as well, and people who want to be involved in motorsports, maybe not even as a driver, but in a support role. And that's kind of the direction I want to take RacersHQ from here on.
I think that's one of the things I'm excited about you doing, because I know this year I have a friend who's going to be doing Champ Car now. I guess it's Champ Car, not Chump Car anymore, which is a little weird.
What? Isn't that the whole point of the series? Is that it's supposed to be silly, so it's called Chump?
It's called Champ Car now, which was a series like a professional series in the 80s.
It was all the way into the 2000s because I saw
really?
a Champ Car race in Houston when I was going down there to learn how to build race engines.
Okay.
So did they buy that brand then?
I don't know if they did or if that brand...
I think the copyright just
like trademark,
ended.
copyright, whatever died, and so now we've rebranded. We're Champ Car now.
But it's a parody. It's like Lemons. It's supposed to be a parody of a real thing.
I know.
Well, the thing is, and I was actually, we talked briefly about the guys at Team Clear Coat. I was with Ian back in October at the Chump Car race in Road America.
I'm supposed to.
And one of the drivers, he's like, "This is so effing stupid. I can't believe." I was trying to talk to some broad on the airplane, and she's like, she asked what I was doing. I said I was going to go race in an automotive race, in an endurance race. She, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "God damn it, I gotta say it. It's Chump off. It's not taken seriously. It's so stupid." But so I get his side of it, where they want to be more serious. And I get why the name change happened. But at the same time, I also understand the other side, the lighter side. Now, you take Chump and Lemons and look at the two. I mean, Lemons
is definitely more light-sided.
Lemons there's a party and, there's some racing going on in the background, whereas Chump has slowly progressed to be more serious about racing than Lemons was.
But I will be crewing with him this year, and so I'm like really apprehensive about it because I want to do well. But there's, you don't just like show up, be a crew guy, know. So I'm excited for someone to be, you have quite a bit of experience with that, and I'm excited to hear you share that with the world so that I can kind of learn by listening. So.
Here's the thing, Adam. You don't got to worry about it, especially at, a budget endurance race. Now, granted, depending on my schedule this year, I might be driving a different car, so I might not be on the crew. But if things work out, and the car isn't there, or I just can't afford to drive, I'm going to be crewing with them on the Maserati.
Well, actually, I'll be on a different team. I'm trading all the way around. Yeah, one of my good friends from high school, regular listener, actually been on the show once, Josh Fettis. He bought a Neon that has been a race car its entire life. So
nice.
It's that turbo Dodge life.
Got to live that turbo, non-turbo Dodge life.
Not turbo Dodge life. Exactly.
That life just drags him back in.
He doesn't realize that when he bought that, he bought a life, like a lifestyle.
It's absolutely a lifestyle.
Once you're in, you're in. You don't get out. So I bought a Dodge Caravan. I mean,
it's Dodge for life.
Dodge for life.
Yeah. What happened?
Mopar or no car?
What happened today? Somebody shared. Front wheel Dodge.
The wheels I was talking about last week.
Yeah.
Turns out he's in our group.
The one that's for sale?
No, the one that bought them. Wesley. He's in our group.
That's incredible.
And then a whole bunch of other Turbo Dodge people started chiming in.
I knew that we had a handful of Turbo Dodgers, but I didn't realize the large number of depraved souls that we have.
That's funny.
It's amazing. I have a prediction that's going to make like a resurgence. Like that's going to be a thing, more so than it is now. Like you talk about on your Facebook.
Old cars, or
no, just like that generation of Mopar vehicles.
Oh yeah,
but with a younger generation of people because it's affordable performance,
right?
And it's kind of quirky and it's weird.
Yeah.
So you're saying he was ahead of the game.
He's a trendsetter.
As per the usual, I'm a trendsetter.
Give it
an influencer.
Give it 4 years. Give it 4 years. The Beefy T is making a comeback.
No.
My next Instagram handle change is going to be
Beefy T.
No, it's going to be Turbo Dodge, not Turbo Dodge.
So anyway, I was just really surprised that all of a sudden somebody started talking about Turbo Dodge and they all came out of the woodwork. Like people had never commented on anything before. Just I got a Dodge too. I was like,
I haven't even like advertised our thing much on those groups or anything. They've found us,
right?
However, they found us and
hashtags,
and now we're here.
So anyway, so you're going to be on the Neon team doing neon things.
So I'm excited for another place for me to learn some about that stuff before I dive headfirst into it. And
honestly, there really is nothing to be worried about. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, you don't know me though. See, that's the thing. I'm very concerned about being sure that I do a good job.
He's been involved in your life for 2 years, man.
Josh?
No.
Oh, Jake.
Jake, he's listened to you for 2 years. He knows your inner feelings.
Yeah, I forget that people know me really well who've never met me, which is weird.
I met you.
That's true. We have met, haven't we?
Yep.
Son of a gun, I forgot all about it. That weekend's a blur. My bad, dude.
I'm still not used to that. Because even this past weekend at the car show, I bumped into, I think it was Brian. And she's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, good. Didn't occur to me that he knew who I was and was trying to like say hey to me. And I was like, oh, hey. And I just kept going and then realized as I'm driving home, I was like, damn it, I'm an asshole.
That was super rude.
Such an asshole.
Sorry, Brian.
The craziest thing about doing this stuff, because I first bought my cart and I went to the local track down the road from me, and I'm setting up and I'm already paid for, some private instructor time. And one of the guys that works at the track, he heard my voice. He's like, you do a podcast, don't you? I'm like, what the hell? Seriously?
You just never know who listens.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's a very small world.
It really is.
So, Jake, can I waste like your entire night by asking you a bunch of random questions? Is that okay with you?
That's what
speed
I'm
round.
for.
Let's go.
Speed round. If you were on a team,
I seriously
and,
thought about like preparing like 10 speed round
Hayward
questions.
Wagner was
decided
there,
not to do it though.
and you had some questions for him about the SCCA. How long would it take you to ask those questions? No,
I got one question for him, but you guys pretty much covered it on your show. So,
serious question though. As someone who's crewed on teams, which is something I definitely have not done or been around, what's your experience been like around that? And as someone that has absolutely no experience, what's that like? What are the roles? What do you do as a crew chief? I mean, give me like the 101 version of that.
Oh, well, so I'll try and kind of make this short because I could go all night on this one subject. But, I started out doing basic maintenance and blueprinting engines for a sprint car team down in Houston, and really hadn't been around dirt tracks that much before. So I learned a ton in the year or so that I got to work on sprint cars. And a lot of it is just preparation and preparing the car. When it comes to dirt track stuff, you got to clean the car off every time it comes off the track.
You got to pull the visor, the windshield visor, don't you? Like
there's no windshield on
helmet.
It looks like
the helmet on the helmet. I mean,
the tear offs. That's the driver.
They'll
takes
do that
care of.
mid race.
oh, do they?
Oh yeah, there's like 30 of them there.
I thought that was somebody's job. It's like come in there, pull it off, and get back out there.
They're pulling them off on the track.
Gotcha.
Yeah, mid. They'll straighten the wheel out just enough and hope to God nothing happens when they reach up to pull the tear off.
Yeah,
it's pretty nerve-wracking from people I've talked to that have actually done that. The first few times you do it anyway. Once you get used to it, it's not so bad. But, with sprint cars, of course, you see the tremendous end-over ends. And I don't know if you guys know this about sprint cars or not, being from Iowa. I'm assuming you know. But if they come to a complete stop on the track, you actually have to get a vehicle out there to push start them again.
Mm-hmm. They're direct drive, right?
Yeah, it's engine, flywheel, about 12-inch long drive shaft with a few U-joints on them straight to the diff. There's a little handle in the cockpit that you pull to disengage it if you want to warm the engine up. But then if you want to get it driving again, you have to shut the engine off, re-engage the drive, and then push start it.
Crazy cars.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah. And, I was working on the mid-range ones. They were 360 cubic inch Chevy small blocks running on full alcohol. About 650 wheel horsepower, and that was middle of the road. That wasn't the World Outlaws, and there's still one level in between them.
Nice.
And they weigh about 1,500 pounds with the driver.
Not many.
There's not a lot there, so.
No. I did one of those driving experiences over this past fall and drove a wing sprint car on a track. And, of course, it was way down on power. I'm guessing it was only about 250 horsepower, but it was still enough to get sideways in the dirt and feel a little bit of the downforce. It was interesting. It was definitely different, but kind of back, I kind of digressed there a little bit. So back to the subject of crewing. So I started there, and actually through work here in Illinois, I met Rich, the guy who was in the SCCA that I crewed for the last 3 years. And a lot of it is, going to work on the car in between races, doing maintenance, changing the setup, prepping it for the next race. Of course, if it gets into a wreck somewhere, it gets banged up, then of course you're beating it out and fixing the damage at the track or in between races. And then once you're at the race, it's a lot of paying attention to lap times, listening to the driver, what's going on. As a crew chief, I've got the headset on and I'm talking to him. So if there's an accident on track, I usually know about it before there's a yellow flag at the start finish line. I sit in the pits and I call off lap times and gaps between him and the cars in front of him and behind him. If it's multi-classes running at the same time, I let him know whether or not the car directly in front of him is a car he's racing or not. And kind of feed him information. And then once he gets off the track, we go over all the information and the data that comes out of the car off the data acquisition systems, the Motec, the camera. We watch the videos if need be, and try and figure out a strategy for the next time we're on track. When you start talking about endurance racing, it's a little bit different. I haven't crew chief there yet. However, this year when I'm not driving the car I'm going to be driving in budget endurance cars, I will be crew chief on that. And then you've got to figure out how many laps of fuel you've got left, because you can't trust the fuel gauge in a 1992 Honda Accord. Figuring out which driver would be best suited for which condition, who should start, who should finish. And, during a pit stop, you're also doing a visual inspection of the car to make sure there's nothing that needs to be fixed while you're in the pits.
So whose car are you running this year in endurance?
So I got together. You guys have talked about some local shops that are like DIY auto shops out there in the Des Moines area. There's a big one in the South Loop of Chicago called Gearhead Workspace, and they picked up a car. One of their two techs that's on premise to help people or do the work for people. He had a parts car that was a rust-free Florida 92 Accord. So they bought it off of him, and we just picked up another parts car. So we're pulling the drivetrain out of one car, putting it in this other car, and now, God forbid, I'm a Honda guy. I don't know what's wrong with me, but there's certain people that we're mutual friends with that will laugh at that and probably knows who it is I'm talking about that works at the shop. But so Gearhead Workspace put the car together. I'm helping build it, and I'll be crewing and driving when I can afford to.
Does that Gearhead Workspace, they do well with that space? Man, how big is it?
It's pretty big. There are, I believe, 5 lift bays, and if you want to stretch it, you could probably fit 4 or 5 flat stalls. They have an area set aside for storage. They actually are doing a welding class right now, which I really wish I could have gotten involved with, but with work lately and starting my race season in the kart, I just can't afford to take the time away from all that other stuff. But they do regular classes almost every week. They've probably got 2 or 3 classes going throughout the week. Plus the car build. They've got a nice lounge, and they do race events. They did indoor cars and coffees all winter.
Awesome.
They're doing pretty good.
That sounds cool. That would be great.
The class thing is really smart.
I never
That's
thought
a really
about
good
that.
idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, and it's actually pretty affordable. They had a couple really good welders, and one of their regular guys is a licensed certified welder running the class. So if I can't do the class this time around, I'll probably just get some private lessons at the shop, when there's free time.
cool. So you've been working on that car then. I think you said you were working on it even last year.
Started December. They bought the car, and we started to tear it down.
So,
sorry.
No,
the
go ahead.
Mocked up right now. I actually last week bought a harness, a 6-point harness for it. The seat, funny story. So I was building my Miata, and I sold everything when I got rid of it. And I ended up rebuying the seat from my Miata to go in this Accord.
That's how that goes.
You'll be stuck with that seat forever.
No shit.
You'll send it. You'll sell it. Come back.
So tell us a little bit about some of your racing experience as well, meaning you as a driver.
All right. So I don't have a ton of experience, but, it's been spread out over quite a few years. I actually back in summer of 2001, I was serving in the military, and I came home on leave and met up with a high school friend who, her and her husband were autocrossers, and I'd never heard of it before. So I had a bunch of money saved up from a deployment. I decided, I bought a little 86 Camaro and went out autocrossing with them, and I was instantly hooked. And from then on, basically at least twice a year, if not 4 or 5 times a year, I was autocrossing with different groups here in central Illinois and northern Illinois. From there, I moved on to doing track days, and my first track day ever, I crashed my car.
Dang it.
That's my fear.
It was a brand new car, mind you, too. It was,
Shit.
Yeah, I bought it in February of 06. It was an 06 WRX, and in May of 06, I crashed into a guardrail at Audubon Country Club.
Badly?
Jeez.
No, it was all cosmetic. So I just drove it until I got rid of it with scratches all over the bumper and a cracked tail light.
I mean, could have been worse, I guess.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
I drove away from it, and there was nothing major done, no major damage to the car. And I kept autocrossing and kept going back to track days. And, from there, decided I wanted to build a car, which is where I bought a 91 Miata and started building it, but realized that my budget just couldn't cover it. It would have taken another 2 years to put the car together and actually get it on track. And about that time, I found my go-kart that I bought. And ironically enough, the guy I bought the go-kart from bought my Miata from me, and now it's a super touring car in SCCA. But I started racing my kart last year, and then this year I'm picking it up, and I'm going to be doing a lot more kart racing this year, possibly some regional and traveling, and then I will be running the budget endurance car too, the Accord. Is
your kart in a SCCA series? Is it with your region?
No, the kart is actually it's Briggs and Stratton makes a specific sealed motor. My kart is more or less the spec Miata of the kart world. So it's a 4-cycle, roughly 10 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine. They're all blueprinted, and I actually recently listened to a guy from Briggs and Stratton's racing division, which actually, for most people here in America, you hear that and you kind of got to laugh when you think Briggs and Stratton. You don't really think racing, but they go to such ridiculous depths to build these racing engines to make sure that they're equal across the board, that any one engine you pull off the rack is going to be the exact same as the next one. And so it gives you a real equal setting, and you can use multiple different chassis, but weight is very regulated. The local track that I race at, because it's such a spec class, your racing entrance fees include all fuel needed for testing, qualifying, and the race.
Is that LO206?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know much about it. I just know that that's a go-kart class. Those are not shifter carts then, right?
No, it's a single speed, which really kind of adds to the fun of tuning and testing, because you have to go to each track and you have to run laps to make sure you're not banging the rev limiter halfway down the longest straight, and you've got to adjust your front and rear sprockets to make sure you're right where you need to be, acceleration and top speed.
Do those use like a snowmobile style, like a centrifugal clutch off the motor then?
Yeah, centrifugal clutch on the motor, and then it's a chain to a solid rear axle.
So those are very similar to the junior dragster setups that I used to run when I was
extremely similar.
Is that a 5-horse then, or is that a bigger motor than that?
They're pretty much spec'd out. The general rule is they're at 9.9 horsepower.
Okay.
Usually between 9 and 11 horsepower, pretty much across the board, any of those sealed motors.
So what was that like, transitioning from racing in cars to racing in a kart?
So the kart, even though I'm in what's a quote-unquote slower class, like the local track I go to, I max out top speed at about 65 miles an hour, and I'm hitting 2 Gs in a corner. it's a lot more visceral and a lot more taxing on the body than it is even autocrossing for a day. And it's still something I'm getting used to and trying to get back into shape for. There's a lot less that I need to do with the kart because it's so simple and purpose built that it's just, I'm prepping for a race weekend takes me about 40 minutes, especially if it's the track that I'm local to that I always go to. It's very easy to set up for. But it's really good racing. And with LO206 class, you're pretty much guaranteed a big full field where even if you're at the back of the pack, you're still racing for position. Whereas, shifter karts cost so much money and they're expensive to maintain. There's fewer and fewer of those you'll see at the tracks, and you're going to see a lot of the 206 karts come out. And pretty much any weekend you're racing, even in my class, which is 35 years old and older, 8 to 10 karts minimum where I'm racing and I'm jockeying for position, and they're all basically the same across the board. It's who can set it up best and who can drive it the best.
So you really don't feel like you're missing out on anything then by doing karting. If anything, it's more interesting.
Absolutely. And karting opens up a whole nother world. There's 2 races in particular I want to get involved in. I don't know that I'm going to have the experience this year for, but next year they are on my to-do list. And they're both street races where they close down city streets and do kart races.
How cool would that be?
Yeah, where's this at?
Rock Island, Illinois, and Elkhart, Indiana.
It's not that far away, Robbie.
Rock
It is
Island's
not far away.
that far away for us.
It's not
Do
far
a
at all.
Google search or a Facebook search for the Rock Island Grand Prix, and you can find all about it. There's thousands of karts that go there every year. And a friend of Rags to Races, James McMahon, who runs the Kart Pulse forums, has a very famous video has gone viral recently of a few years back. He was testing at Rock Island in his shifter kart, and he didn't bring rain tires, and it started to rain. So he was running a shifter kart on slicks in the rain on the city streets.
Just sliding it around, I assume.
It was insane. It's one of the best videos you'll ever see.
That's cool. Is that Western Illinois? I want to say that's not terribly far from us.
It's not. It's not at all. I mean, you guys are in Iowa. I've got family in Geneseo, and it's pretty close to there.
Okay.
Robbie,
Yeah, because we're central Iowa, so
Yeah, so we could get there.
it's like 3 hours to the border.
6.
What's that?
Just head straight east.
Yeah.
You'll get
We'll be fine.
Robbie, you could totally sell the 240 and get a kart.
I could just buy a cart.
Or,
You could-
you're talking about you
buy
want
10 carts.
you were wanting to do 2 cars, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
have a race car and then have a drift car, and you were kind of discussing maybe just having the 240 be the drift car.
Yeah,
and
the
then
more
build a race
the more
car.
I think about it, the more I'm just like, you know what? Let's get a different car.
Yeah.
For
So-
racing.
I've never hidden how much I've spent in my car on my karting, and that's something I want to be completely open and honest, especially on the website and the article I wrote. I bought my entire setup used, albeit well taken care of, and it's a good chassis. I bought it used for $2,300, and I put
nice.
another $800 or so into it to buy new tires, a canopy, extra tools, an entire toolbox to bring with me to the track.
God, super
Uh,
cheap.
See,
Maybe.
those are costs that most people don't include when they talk about what they've spent on racing.
Right.
Oh, no, that's all in. And they run a spec tire at my local track near Ottawa, Illinois. And those tires, last year when I bought them, they told me that the points leader in my class bought his tires at the beginning of the season the year before and was still running.
Wow.
How much is a set of tires?
$220 installed.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So cheap. Got some racing
2
these heavy
seasons?
freaking cars, man.
Yep.
And considering, I crew on a RX-7, FC RX-7, rotary 13B. He runs the Hoosier A7s on shorter tracks. He'll run the R7s when he's got to run longer. His tires are $265, $285 each, not installed.
And that's like what, 2-3 races?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
A weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like 2 or 3 times on track.
One race weekend.
Right.
So 3 weekends, and he's paid for your entire setup for a year.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 2 years.
2 years.
The local races that I do, they run almost every single Saturday night at the track. It's about a 40-minute drive for me. They run Saturday mornings in the spring and the fall, Saturday evenings during the summer. It's about $100 to run an entire race day.
See, the thing is that like
With fuel.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That includes fuel, yeah.
To my knowledge, if we
And I
were
have a
going to
company
cart,
car, so I don't pay for gas there and back either.
Jeez. To my knowledge, if we were going to cart, our only options locally, there's that in Jamaica,
Yep.
Yeah.
which is a town around here.
Yeah.
Not that Jamaica. It's
No,
actually
not-
Jamaica, Iowa.
Right. There's a paved oval there. But then after that, I think you have to go to dirt, or there's that Route 66, I think it is, Cartway or something like that. But I think
Yeah.
that's a solid 2.5-3 hour drive for us.
Oh, is it?
So,
Well, part of my plan next year is actually to run the regional tour and start running some of the bigger races with the cart, with the spec class, which means I'll be traveling to Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana. There's like 2 or 3 tracks in Illinois.
but you're kind of centrally located for that.
Yeah, I'm in the Chicago suburbs, so it's
Right.
not terrible, but
It would be a long way for us to,
yeah.
some of those anyway.
Yep.
You could always just go to Rock Island.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to justify it for a race a year, though.
Fair enough.
So, Jake, tell us a little bit about where you see taking the direction of Racers HQ moving forward.
Okay. So kind of like what I was talking about before, I'm still going to keep it focused on people who want us to drive and eventually work to become a professional driver. I want to focus on that, but at the same time, I'm opening the doors for the hobbyist and for those who do want to crew and maybe not know where to start or what to expect in a race weekend as a crew member or a crew chief. On top of that, I want to kind of open the doors a little bit more and go the next step from take what Matt did and move it further. So some of my plans I've got working on is I'm actually talking about possibly setting up an exercise and diet program specifically made for race drivers. I want to work on Matt did a wonderful, wonderful video series as a driver training. And I actually got to review it and see a beta of it, and I think it's a great series. However, I think it's more geared toward intermediate and expert drivers to kind of take that next step when it comes to your driving and racecraft. I want to put together a video series for somebody who's never set foot in a race car, maybe never done an autocross before, and wants to learn the absolute basics. So that's a couple of the different things I'm looking toward doing, and I'm in the process of writing a very large article. I don't want to go too deep into the details of it just yet. However, I'll say that I have been studying one specific driver for the last 3 weeks, and I have about 8 pages of notes that I have to go through to write my article and start doing my podcast.
Yeah, that's an interesting position to be in because I feel like people with money or experience are very well served from the instructional perspective, and if you have money, you can pay Skip Barber, or you could pay Ross Bentley, you could pay whomever, Bob or whatever to, do whatever type of instruction that you want or feel like you need. But as far as somebody that hasn't raced cars or maybe has realized that they don't race cars well, but they don't have a big budget, what do they do?
Well, and it's funny you say that because I've known plenty of people who do have plenty of money, and instead of actually getting the training, they just throw more money at it.
It's very true. Spend more money on tires, spend more money on superchargers, spend more money on this, that, and the other thing. Yeah,
They get the faster car, but they don't actually fix the problem which sits between the seat and the steering wheel.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I want to focus on. One of the other things I actually want to bring up real quick here, if you don't mind, Matt had this really great program for sponsoring autocrossers, and that's not going to happen this year. Unfortunately, I just don't have it in my budget. But for the 2019 season, I will be opening up applications not just for autocrossers. I want to extend it to autocrossers, people who kart, and esports, iRacing specifically, where I'm going to be sponsoring drivers under under RacersHQ to be a paid sponsor, and I'm going to give you money to race.
Do you think that program is going to operate pretty similarly? You're going to give, a set dollar amount, and people go through an application process, and you pick two drivers? Yeah.
Absolutely, because these people are going to be the face of RacersHQ. I need to make sure that they're going to take care of that name and help spread the word of what RacersHQ is doing and what it will be doing in the future. So there's going to be some expectations. There's going to be a pretty lofty application process, and I want to make sure I have the right people for the job.
So for somebody that's interested in doing that or just being sponsored in general, what kind of expectations do you or anybody else set for drivers looking for sponsorship dollars?
Well, you have to be able to speak publicly. I mean, it's not an easy task, but there are going to be situations where, especially, you're going to become a guest on my podcast and probably a regular guest on the podcast. On top of that, I'm going to be searching social media, and if I see anything that really stands out as a negative, or even if it's a disagreeing view from what somebody might be, how can I put this? If you're putting drastic opinions on social media where the public can find it, that's not really something I'm going to be looking for. So if you have to be a brand ambassador, basically. Long story short, and I'm terrible with words when it comes to this stuff, but I'm going to try. But yeah, really the thing is, and I'm looking for somebody who may not have the ability to go to the next level or take it to the next level and be serious because of money, but they've got the drive, they've got the will, and they want to learn. And that's the biggest thing, where it's somebody that I can work with directly and be not only an ambassador for my brand, but to be an ambassador for for motorsport as a whole.
Sure. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, that's the important part that people should understand too. If they apply for those, whether it's with you or whomever else, there's definitely work that's involved in those dollars too. It's not just stickers for your race car.
Exactly. It's not free money. And I always kind of go back to when anyone asks me about sponsorship stuff, even though I've never been a sponsored driver, I go back to, I don't know if you guys listen to Cypress Hill much, but the old song from early 2000, Rock Superstar, where they've got the guy in the interview in the background. He's like, yeah, well, it's a fun job, but it's still a job.
Yeah.
You got to keep that in mind, that I'm paying you for a reason. There's got to be, there has to be value in what you bring to the table. I'm not just going to hand somebody free money for nothing.
Makes sense. I mean,
yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable expectation, just like having a side job or, whatever.
I believe it's a side hustle now.
A side hustle.
Side hustle.
Yeah. Speak to the congressman to the left of you.
So, well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that part of it's not disappearing, because I think there was a lot of appeal for RacersHQ from that perspective. It does bring value to you and the brand, just because it positions the company differently than anybody else has from a marketing perspective. So it's good that that's not going away.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, this year it's just not going to happen. A, we're already into the racing season. B, I just don't have it in the budget. But
sure,
2019 season, it'll definitely be out there, and I'm going to be looking for at least 3 drivers.
3 drivers.
Mm-hmm. One in karting, one in autocross, one in esports.
Fair enough.
Esports is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting.
Well, I'm iRacer. Well, not as regular as I'd like to be, but I am a regular iRacer. I am on iRacing, and it's there's really something to be said about it.
Yeah.
It's growing. Did we talk about that on the show, or was that before the show? Talking about people watching Stitcher, and it might have been a conversation we had before the show.
I think we've talked about it on the show, and we've talked about it privately about how it's growing, and that it's like literally like it's E-series on was it TBS?
TBS, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's the conversation we're having.
Like it's an hour-long show of people just playing video games, and there's 3 people commentating on it. I mean,
well, I've got a friend that comments on F1 Codemasters esports series. I've got countless people that I know that do iRacing, and when magazines like Racer and Grassroots Motorsports start covering big iRacing races, that there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
You know, not to mention, you know, you've got people who have never driven a car in their life or barely drive an automatic transmission car on the street, going into iRacing and then getting a seat in an MX-5 Cup car and having to learn how to drive stick shift in real life at the track at Laguna Seca when they're getting ready to race.
Such a wild world that you can make that leap, you know? It's such a crazy thought.
Old kid last year did make that leap. He literally sat on a leopard print computer chair with a cheap, like Logitech steering wheel.
Yeah.
Went iRacing for like 3 years straight, and actually got to the point where he got a chance to sit in an MX-5 Cup car, won against other people who have been racing real cars for several years, and now he's running MX-5 Cup this year.
Jeez. Where did we go wrong?
Should have played more video games.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I was playing the wrong game.
My parents were always like, just go outside and play. Turns out I should have been inside sitting on my butt playing video games.
Yeah, just not Need for Speed, though.
I mean,
no Need for Speed Underground.
Was that not a racing simulator?
No.
You don't use nitrous to make corners better?
I don't know. We could ask Jake, but I'm going to guess he's going to say no.
Have you ever tried that with a wheel? Like an actual simulator setup? It's impossible. You can't do it.
I did try to play Grand Theft Auto.
It makes it harder to select your customization options when you got to turn the wheel to get to them. You know what I mean?
I tried Grand Theft Auto with my wheel once.
Nope.
Doesn't work.
I will say, and this is going to be a controversial thing for people. Some people are going to completely disagree with me on this, but Forza is a great way to learn a track.
I believe that 100%.
I actually I was crew chief on that SCCA, that FC RX-7, and last year the driver, who's been racing for 42 years, mind you, so he's no slouch. He's very familiar with racing and driving. Went to COTA for the first time and never drove the track. I actually built his car in Forza, set my Xbox and wheel up at his house and let him drive for a week, and he said the braking zones, the acceleration, and the speed were all 99% perfect.
That puts you so far ahead of the curve. That day you show up for testing or practice, it's night and day.
Oh yeah. He knew where he was going to be, and in fact, before the runoffs this last year at Indy, I was doing some simulator testing with that car in Forza on the Indy track to figure out which rear end gear to put in the car.
Nice.
So, Jake, is there any teasers or anything that you can give us as far as, other than obviously you talked about the sponsorship series coming in for 2019, but what do you kind of see coming up here in the near future?
So I'm trying to go big right off the bat. Now I've put out a small little introduction post on the website. I'm trying to keep up with the Facebook and Instagram. I haven't been out too much, but with the YouTube page, I'm going to be mounting my GoPro on my cart and recording all my races, and we'll be doing race recaps every time I go out to race. With the podcast, I have a big guest. I don't want to name names. However, he is a legacy. He is the son of a very, very famous race car driver who now races himself. He'll be on the podcast if everything works out perfectly. And I've been spent been spending all of my free time over the last 3 weeks researching one specific driver to go really in depth onto whether or not this driver was just pure out natural talent or if we can learn the same way he learned.
So when is some of that stuff becoming available?
I'm going to be recording Sunday night my first podcast about that specific driver, and I'm going to start writing my article hopefully here in the next week to week and a half. You'll be hearing the first podcast from me. Mid-May, you're going to get the first podcast guest, and I already have several other former guests of the Racers HQ podcast that are willing to come back, and I'm working on getting times and dates scheduled with them.
Perfect.
Cool.
That's excellent. Are you going to be doing the podcast weekly then?
That's the plan.
Okay.
I mean, aside from things like I'm going to an area on a vacation here in July where I'll be gone for a week straight with literally no cell phone reception where I'm going. So there may be a week or two here and there where I might miss, but I'm not going away anytime soon. It's going to be as best I can every week.
Sure.
Don't worry, your fans won't mind when you take a week off. You won't.
Nobody will get upset about
nobody.
it.
That is actually one thing I am going to take from your guys' book is I'm probably going to open up a Facebook group for Racers HQ as well, as I never see any of your guys' posts from 1010's
The page.
Facebook page.
Yep.
But every time somebody posts something or somebody comments on something, I see it. So I'm probably going to be opening a Racers HQ group very soon too.
Yeah.
They're always fun. So.
Yeah, groups are a lot better than the pages. Facebook just killed them.
Yeah.
You'll at least get more engagement that way, and people can communicate and share ideas back and forth. That's the other problem with the page too, is that people can comment on it, but that
Just
exchange, the exchange between two people that aren't affiliated with the show it's just not there. It gets lost.
Yeah.
So that's why the group's good. Everybody's kind of on an equal footing. You know, people can post and they can put into it as much as they want to, and you know they'll get out of it as much as they put into it. So
absolutely.
So that'll definitely be good. I mean, there's regional groups for that for racing, but as far as a general, I mean, there's probably somebody's definitely got a group about racing somewhere, but that'll be good just because it suits your purpose for the show and for the website.
Yeah, it builds a community. I mean, it's kind of funny that I referred to it as the 1010s community today on a post, and it's just like, it kind of is, though, really.
Yeah.
Well, it really is. It really is. When you guys started that, like, I was behind it 110%, and I actually love seeing the posts and seeing your guys' feedback on stuff and get to share cool stuff myself, so...
Yeah, it works out good. It's like 60% screwing around and 40% real information.
Awfully generous on the real
I'm
information.
trying to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Awfully generous.
It's more screwing around, let's face it.
It's mostly screwing around. That's why there's no real competition in you starting a group, because it will be a better balance of real information.
You get people digging into my photos for 10-year-old photos of me flipping off the camera. Jesus Christ.
That was pretty hilarious.
That was good.
Such an old picture.
Yeah, that was high school, Adam.
No, not quite, but pretty close.
Skinny boy face, you can see the cheekbones.
Yeah.
So, well, that's cool, Jake. I appreciate you reaching out, and I think this is a cool opportunity to see you kind of carry the torch for this, because I know some people were upset when basically the resource disappeared. Whenever that was, maybe October, November, sometime in there.
October, November. I actually took over the Facebook page in October of last year, but it was kind of silent about it, which was really interesting because everyone would send me messages, say, "Hey, Matt, this and that question," and I didn't really want to say it's not Matt because he was such a big part of the brand and everything, and I just kind of responded. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm Matt.
This is Matt.
Hey.
Thanks for your question. On that note, are you going to do you have any plans to continue any of that live series that he did?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be coming back soon here.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get everything situated. I just bought a house and I'm getting settled in, so that will be coming. Like, I'm sitting in a half-finished office at the moment, so...
I know it's kind of tricky. He had a lot of stuff that he did day to day, and he had had the podcast, and then he had the live stuff scheduled, and then he was working on that videos that it was like track driving video series that some people subscribed to, and he just had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and that's gonna the Facebook Live will be coming back. It may not be weekly, maybe bi-weekly. It may be weekly. I am working on that stuff. I'm actively trying to figure that out along with my day job and racing and everything else. So
sure.
It's still coming together, and it's a work in progress, so bear with me. But I'm going to be trying to get everything I can together and actually build it and take it to the next step.
Perfect. For those that are curious, RacersHQ.com and RacersHQ on Instagram. And, of course, you can find that on Facebook that way as well.
And Twitter. And if you want to email me directly, sorry to interrupt,
no, you're
Jake, RacersHQ.com.
Perfect. Excellent. Jake, appreciate it again. If there's nothing else, we'll let you go, and I think we'll do a little bit of news.
Sounds good. Hey, if you guys do make it out to Audubon Country Club for the Grid Life event, let me know. I'm 15, 20 minutes away from the track. So.
Oh, perfect.
Cool.
Perfect.
And I'll recognize you this time and not be such a jerk. I promise.
You might not. I've got a beard now, so I look a little different.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, you're tricking Robbie up.
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's me, and then I'll know.
And then he'll probably just walk away awkwardly, like, hey,
guys, nice to see you. Well, see you later.
Robbie's not good at the fan interaction. Don't you remember did we tell the story
Robbie's
at Grid
the one
Life?
that gets it the most too.
I know. Didn't we tell that story at Grid Life? Oh, it was Jake.
Him.
Oh, I thought it was somebody else. My bad.
I'm like, wait a minute, is it?
It was him.
Okay,
and
so I've seen pictures of Rob and I've seen pictures of Michael. I've never seen a picture of Adam. Maybe
because I'm not the face of them.
Are you guys from 1010? So I felt like that total fucking nerd.
I didn't know how to respond.
But then,
so happy.
But then Robbie came over to where Thomas and I were shooting pictures, and Adam was there with Tim, and he's like, I just got recognized. And we're like, who was it? Who was it, Robbie? You got to show us who. Like, we got to go talk to this person. He's like, I don't know. They're over there somewhere. And you were long gone. And it's like, damn it, Robbie.
I drifted off.
Hell?
Like somebody, like I had some friends that were local to me there, and I ran into them and just disappeared.
Yep.
Well, so I remember the second day, I was like on a mission for somewhere, and I bumped into you.
Oh yeah, it was during like the drifting of the tracks.
But I was on like a mission for something. I don't remember what, but I was going somewhere, and I was like, "Oh hey, bye," and I felt kind of bad about it afterwards.
No, don't feel bad about it. You guys were doing your thing. I was doing my thing. I was just trying to take it all in. Honestly,
It's a wild weekend.
Well, I walked. I pulled my iPhone out Sunday morning because I couldn't get up out of my escape that I was sleeping in. My legs were so sore, and I'm like, holy shit, I walked 13 miles yesterday.
Yep.
That sounds right.
It makes it worse when you have a camera because you're like, I'm going to go shoot on the backside.
Yeah. And it was way too much. I know you guys had your hands full. And can't make it to Midwest this year, but next year that's on my list. And if you guys are at Audubon, I'll definitely look you up because I am going to be there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And we look forward to your content coming out starting in May. So Racers HQ for everybody out there.
Thank you much, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later, Jake. Thanks.
See you, buddy.
Cool. Did you have an opener, Adam? I forgot to ask you before we started the show.
I have kind of a quick one if we want to do
Just
it.
go for it.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Just go for it. We got time for it.
There were like things that I wanted to talk about that were not opener related. Don't remember what they were. Doesn't matter.
Nope. Let's do Adam's opener by presented by Factor Fabrication.
No, it's Adam's Quickie brought to you by Factor Fabrication with inspiration provided by Pornhub. Only on 1010. Yeah, there it is.
Damn it. Why?
It's Adam flipping us off here.
It makes me... I'm really confused by the inspiration by part. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
Booney took it to a weird place.
It makes me feel a little uncomfortable, honestly. I don't know what the deal was there. But, weird.
Anyway, carry on, sir.
Yeah,
with your opener.
so this week, we're not going to talk about cars.
That's all right, because this isn't a car show, so you can do whatever
So
you
I've
want.
got this.
Whatever, I don't care.
So today I went through some safety training for the company I work for. I do a lot of overhead and aerial work, which means I'm up by high voltage power lines quite a bit. And so we did some training and some safety on
Like ladder safety and shit?
No, like bucket truck safety.
Oh.
Because we're way up there.
Okay.
So we were doing like how not to die is essentially what we were talking about today. And the guy that was leading the class, he pulled up some quotes from 1942's National Electric Code.
Ooh, this will be good.
So people who are electricians, they are painfully well aware what the NEC is. It's the guidelines and federal mandates that everybody who works in the electrical field has to follow so that houses don't burn down and people don't get electrocuted when they turn their lights on. Great stuff. Are you ready for this ridiculousness?
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Electricians often test circuits for the presence of voltage by touching the conductors with their fingers.
That means touching the wires, people.
This method is safe where the voltage does not exceed 250 volts and is very often convenient for locating a blown out fuse or ascertaining whether or not a circuit is live.
So I could touch the wires on and in theory, a 240 volt 13 amp circuit. I can get in there with my fingers and complete that circuit.
That's how they felt about it in 1942, at least.
All right, that's good.
They continue on to say some men can endure the electric shock that results without discomfort, whereas others cannot. Therefore,
men,
this
by the way.
method
Yeah, it's
may
not
not
women.
be feasible in some cases.
It's like licking a battery. To
Oh,
find
it
out
gets
if works.
worse. That's not even the best one. The next paragraph, the presence of, quote, low voltages can be determined by testing as well. This method is feasible only where pressure is but a few volts and hence is only used in bell and signal work, being phones.
Right.
This is great. Where the voltage is very low, the bared ends of the connectors constituting the two sides of the circuit are held a short distance apart on the tongue.
So in this case, if you can't feel the voltage through your fingers,
Touch it to your tongue.
Touch it to your tongue. If voltage is present, a peculiar, mildly burning sensation will result,
sounds like a medical manual,
which
or
will be
something.
never forgotten after one has experienced it. The taste is due to the electrolytic decomposition of liquids on the tongue, which will produce a salt-having taste.
So they knew that, but not to touch wires.
In 1942, the way of determining whether a circuit was live or not, first of all, you touched it, and if that didn't shock you, you put it on your tongue. If you didn't have a salty taste, dead circuit.
Jeez.
So to tie that back into cars, if you're wiring your car, don't do any of those things.
Yeah,
Get a voltage tester.
I just couldn't get over this. That was federal.
Regulation.
NEC code. Yeah.
Jeez.
Just touch those wires. Craziness.
Yeah, that's
I'm kind of
amazing.
Dumbfounded. to be
I know,
honest.
right? I don't even know what to say about it. I just couldn't get over the fact
Well,
that they were
you and I work
encouraging
in
these things.
construction. He's an engineer.
Yep.
Working with
Aerospace.
airplanes,
Yeah.
basically. So we all get safety
Yeah.
feed into us.
Yeah.
And
We
how
got to climb poles with spikes today. It was a great
Oh, I
time.
haven't done that.
Yeah, I can climb a wooden telephone pole.
Nice.
It's not fun.
No, I believe that.
By climb, I'm using that definition loosely because I'm terrible at it. But I did it.
I remember when they were at Powerline School, they taught
That's
that.
essentially what I did today. Was like a condensed 1-day power lineman course.
Ha, neat.
So
And you didn't get electrocuted because you didn't lick the telephone wires. That's
no,
good.
I'm not that dumb.
All right.
So
Good.
perfect. Good.
yeah, advice you learn on 10 Times Podcast.
It is. Don't forget, check out factorfabrication.com. Not that, Robbie.
Oh, sorry.
Factorfabrication.com. For all, well, he's really throwing me off now. If you're curious what I'm talking about, it's on the YouTube video. But somebody made a ridiculous meme of Adam. But anyway,
The
factorfabrication.com.
owner of Factor Fabrication.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not just
meme.
anybody.
Yeah, residential commercial fabrication. He's got some products and things on his website. He's a hell of a fabricator, and he made Adam look like a moron.
Not that that's an accomplishment, but I mean, I'm pretty good at it on my own.
Anyway, that's enough of that, I think.
Yep.
Shall we move on? Let's do some news, you guys. What do you think?
Didn't you have something to talk about?
I do have something to talk about.
We should talk about it.
Yeah.
Yes, I purchased a new vehicle on Saturday. It's not new. It's
New to you.
new to me. I got a 2015 Genesis sedan.
A little disappointed
Why are you disappointed?
in our group of fans.
Oh yeah, definitely disappointed in those people.
I mean, come on.
Those people.
How many times have I talked about the
Those
Genesis?
people.
The Genesis on this
Right.
show
Literally
in
every
the
show.
last
Right.
2 years.
Yeah, and so like everybody went through all the cars that I thought were personally reasonable, perfectly reasonable guesses, but left out the one that probably would have been for sure top 3 guesses
They guessed the Stinger
for me.
which I've talked about like
the Stinger.
twice.
No, you've talked about Stinger more than that.
Well, yeah, true.
We
Well, like,
like the
since it's
Stinger.
been out, though.
We like the Stinger.
SS makes sense.
We like
That's a good
G8
guess.
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yep, can't
You know,
afford those.
CTSs, perfectly reasonable guesses.
Yep.
Porsches.
Yeah.
Talked about Porsches. Glad I didn't
Yep.
buy one.
Yep.
Had a moment there. I
But-
got past
that,
it.
that would have been funny.
Got through it though.
That would've
You
been
had to
funny.
move to California, and it just would have been a really.
Push through it.
It's all downhill from there.
How many podcasts can there be about Porsches? Yeah,
All
I
of
got
them.
got through it. Got through it. For the good of the
But-
show and the people that listen.
So KDM for life.
KDM for life, yeah. Yeah, I do like the fact there's a lot of stuff that reminds me of the Veloster, but at the same time it's a lot different.
I kind of glanced
good.
over it on my way in. It's a really good looking car.
It's a nice car.
Yeah, it's good looking. Yeah, I enjoy it. 3.8 all-wheel drive. It's quick, but it's not like mind-bogglingly fast, which I'm totally So once I drove it, I went, yeah, I'm really tired of cars that ride like shit.
Right.
And it's not even that it hurts my body, it's just that I'm tired of cars that ride like shit. And all sports cars ride like shit. The Trailblazer rode like shit ever since I had
Yep.
it.
Yep.
It rode like shit. The Veloster didn't ride great.
No.
The GTI rode like I was falling down a flight of stairs.
Yep. That's a fairly accurate description.
And the one car that I had that I really enjoyed, even though it wasn't fast, was the A6. But it was a pain in the ass.
right.
And it was slow. It was ungodly slow. It was like 200 horsepower and weighed
Because you had the NA27.
the NA28, yep.
2.8.
Which I think is the same motor, but it's for some reason it's slightly de-stroked on the turbo version. I don't know why. Maybe that's not true, but it's very similar. So this is the 3.8. It's 311 horsepower. It's got an 8-speed automatic, which is a lot of gears.
Does it feel like a lot of gears?
Yes.
Like, do you notice that?
Yeah, I was going to say, do you even feel it shift gears?
I've never driven anything
Yeah,
with that
because
many
it-
gears.
Going from a 4-speed transmission to an 8-speed transmission is
Right.
probably really dramatic.
Right.
What's the most automatic gears
10.
I've had?
Let's say a lot of the new,
5,
new
I
cars
Yes,
are
but
10.
I don't think I've never. I can
I've
for
never
sure
driven
say I've
one.
never driven anything like
I
that.
think in an auto, the most gears I've ever had is 5, and I think that was in the Audi.
Is your Avalanche still like a
a 4.
4L60
Yeah, it's
or
a
a
4.
4L80?
It's yeah. So anyway, it's weird, and it's got different drive modes. So if you put it in eco mode, which I will never use, but I would just push a button in there.
But it's there
It's there.
It short shifts, and it's
Okay.
like shifting. It's trying to upshift all the time.
all the time.
Yeah, upshift. But then you'll get on the freeway, and it'll be in cruise, and it's not wanting to downshift, so it'll kind of wait, and then it'll start slowing down, and then it'll start downshifting,
Fine,
and then
if I
it'll
have to.
upshift again. Yeah. So it's not hunting necessarily, but it does stuff.
It's
10
just trying to-
speeds, it would be all over the fucking place, be up and down.
What's it do
backwards
for
and-
mileage? Like, what's it supposed to do? I don't know if you
20
probably have
25 on the highway.
to know, but
25 on the highway. It was 4,400 pounds, so it's not
That's not a light car.
it's a luxury vehicle.
weighs as much as
Man.
the Trailblazer did. But so yeah, it's just that's been an interesting experience. The driving modes are kind of a gimmick. I mean, it just changes the way the transmission's programmed, and they claim it changes the all-wheel drive settings, which I'm
I
not
was
really
going to
sure.
ask that. Is that one all-wheel drive?
Yeah, it says it's rear biased, or it's supposed to be rear all the time, unless the rear slips, and then it's supposed to divert to the front. I don't know if that's true.
So it's like my Audi, except opposite.
Yeah, because it's a longitudinally laid out
Okay.
car as opposed to.
Does it look like a nightmare to work on underneath the
No.
hood and stuff like that? Is it pretty roomy?
I think that's the nice thing about the 3.8 is like I can see the whole belt.
right, because it was designed for a 5-liter.
Yeah, so there's room
V8.
up there, and that's the other thing. You can't in this until recently you couldn't get in like recently. I mean like 2017. You couldn't get the 3.3 turbo at all, and you could only get that in the Sport, which they did have at the dealership. And the price on that was $66,000, so I wasn't buying that one.
Oh, ow.
And you can get the 5-liter with all-wheel drive now. You couldn't in this year, and it similarly equipped to the 3.3 turbo they had would have been $70,000.
Whoa.
So
Jesus. So Does this have a warranty still?
It has 100,000 mile warranty. Yes.
And
it
it's
has the
at-
same warranty that it's at 34 right now. It's the same
dude.
warranty that I had on my Veloster.
That's just so like comforting.
It is. I feel. I swear to God, my heart rate is slower in this car than it was in the
Your
Trailblazer.
blood pressure is
Yeah.
lower. You're all around a more healthy person for this decision.
Yeah. The thing with the Trailblazer, I don't think anybody's that disappointed. I'm not even disappointed. It was at when I traded it in. It was at 99,986 miles. I think
Couldn't just take
Nailed
a
it.
little.
I couldn't have
Nailed it.
couldn't
Nah,
break that
because
down.
that's another 10% right
probably
off the top.
probably would have been. Oh, it's got 100,000 miles. I didn't
Yeah.
think so. But it needed, and I don't know this. This is just my guess based on driving it. I think it needed the whole front end torn out of it. It needed bushings. It needed tie rod ends. It needed shocks, struts. It needed rear. Or not struts, sorry, shock springs, and then I think on the rear it needed new shocks also, and then
Those are bags, aren't they?
the rear's bags, which I did replace.
Oh, that's right. You did that.
Yeah, and then it had a little exhaust leak, which all LSs do. I don't know if yours has an exhaust leak.
Not obvious, but
Does it make more noise when it's cold?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, it's got an exhaust
All right, it's
leak.
got an exhaust leak.
It's a bitch to fix, and I'll walk you through it because we fixed it on our 6-liter and we fixed it on the Denali now.
Yep.
It's
that's right, I
I don't know
forgot
what
you have that.
GM was using the same material for their exhaust manifold studs as Subaru does for their head studs. Just plastic, I assume. Just break off. It's stupid. So anyway, it's not that big a deal, but
Yeah.
it needed to be done. And then, everybody complains about those transmissions, and I just kind of always wondering if that day was going to come. So
Ticking time bomb.
I just decided that. Oh, and then it probably needed spark plugs, coil packs, wires. So it needed like $2,000 worth of parts, probably.
Spark plugs is like an 8-hour job, so
Yeah, the plan.
you probably have to go through the wheel well.
Yeah, you.
Why was yours so hard?
For what?
Your spark plugs.
Because mine's narrower.
Oh yeah, I suppose
It's narrower than your truck is.
You have to go through the wheel well to
mine
get
didn't take
some
that
of
long
them.
at all. That was like the first thing I did. I pulled spark plugs out, put some better ones in, and all right.
Yeah. So realistically, what needed to happen is it needed to go on the lift. The front tires need to come off, and then everything connected to that needed to come out.
Oh boy.
The wheel wells, all of it.
Yeah.
And then take the manifolds off, weld nuts on the broken exhaust studs, back those out, replace them.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
No.
So, because it really wouldn't have made the truck any more valuable. It was just a whole shitload of work for me to feel better
Right.
about it, I guess.
You can put it on Craigslist and ask $200 to $500 more
Yeah.
for $2,000 worth of work.
Yep. So
So
I traded it.
There is one thing that I'm mildly disappointed.
What's that?
Probably one of my favorite quotes that you have ever made.
Uh-oh.
One day we were talking, I don't even know what we were talking about, but you said, and I quote, "Get out of my way.
Oh, yeah.
I have LS2 things to do, son." And that was just hilarious.
It
to
was.
me. And that'll never happen
Can't
again.
say
Somebody else said that to me, too. No, can't say
I
that.
think if I remember right, I think it was Austin from the Radical podcast who loved that quote as well.
Oh, really? Because Chris Austin, that lives here,
Oh,
he
okay.
thought that was pretty hilarious, too.
It's one of my favorite quotes.
But now the good thing is I can
can't
tell
happen
people to LS swap shit, and I don't own an LS, so they can't be like, "You're just a fucking fanboy," and I'll be like, "I don't fucking own one, nerd."
Yet.
Fanboy. I got two.
Yeah, he's got two now. He's the LS nerd. I can say it all day long. Nobody can say shit.
So,
to me about
I've come to a conclusion this week. In the
Yeah.
2 years we've done this podcast, you drive a Blazer now.
That I hate.
You drive a Genesis now.
it. Yes.
And I drive a pick-em-up truck.
Yeah.
My, how the tables have turned with the practicality of a daily drive.
Oh, mine is by far the most practical.
I know it is. It's so
By
practical.
a long shot. The only thing that's not
Mine
practical.
we went from me with a Rogue to this with the truck, and I'm the least practical.
I want nothing more than to get that Blazer out of my life and be back in my world's most impractical daily driver S10.
That would put you
But
in
it
the
was-
worst practical.
So
It wasn't the least practical. It's practical.
it's practical.
other than the
well,
turbo.
It's practically practical.
it's practical except for the fact that I have a 2-year-old and a standard cab truck. That's not
Yeah,
practical.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
Can I? I'll put $1 in the douche jar, but can you scroll over and look at what happens when it's
Yeah.
nighttime?
Yeah, I'll just close it. I got a bunch of other bullshit.
So I didn't know about this.
oh,
I didn't know about this.
I made sure to save the picture.
I didn't know about this.
so bad.
No way. You
I have a fucking clue about
so
this.
Is that on the ground?
Is it under the mirror or under the
it's
door?
It's under the mirror. So here's the best part. When you walk up to it, it's got, obviously, it's keyless. So you walk up to it.
You hit that.
And all of a sudden, all the lights on the car come on. There's lights in the door handles, and then the mirrors fold out. Before you even get into it, the mirrors fold out, and it projects.
And it unlocks?
And it unlocks, and it projects Genesis on the ground like a fucking douche.
I'll say the Avalanche has the light, but there's nothing in it.
See, that I'm okay with.
It doesn't have that projector.
I didn't even notice it until I was at dinner one time, and I get out and I click the unlock button. I was like, oh, all right. Whatever.
Yeah, as long as it's not displaying something.
Avalanche. It's got like a mountain and some snow.
A fucking mountain lion on it.
Like a rock.
Yeah, that would be awesome, actually. Can you get that as like a lens or something?
I could do something.
Someone for sure can make that as a lens.
Yeah, there's got to be like an Avalanche
this is like
novelty
This
thing.
is an actual projector. There's like a little projector in there that does this.
It's clear on the ground. It looks like
it's
a vinyl printed.
The thing is, though, I didn't know this, and I went to dinner with some friends, and then I come out.
Plural?
Yeah, I come out.
Liar. This is one friend.
I come out, and I come out with my friend and her parents, and then
oh man! Oh shit! What?
He just ruined that for us.
Woo!
douche.
Nice car, asshole. Does it make noise when you like walk up to it and it's like, welcome back, Mr. Beck, and like all the lights go on and the fucking doors open?
I'll show you. It's gonna be nighttime by the time it's over. I'll show you. It's yeah.
Did you like have a slight freak out for a second in the parking lot there? Did you embarrass yourself at all?
No, because we all just started laughing at me, and I was laughing at
three
me.
shades of red.
I was laughing at me too because I thought it was funny. It's like, wow, not much you can do about that, is there?
Well, see you later.
See you guys later.
We'll go home and cry now. That's amazing.
Anyway, so yeah, it's good. It's the least amount of compromises I've ever had in a car. The only thing I can't do is tow with it, but
yeah, you got to pick them up truck.
I got stuff for that.
Yeah,
it's all good. So looking forward to owning it for a while. He said, allegedly. Yeah. But here's the only thing I would want to replace it would maybe be a G70 with the 3.3 liter, which would be this equivalent of the Stinger, and yeah, it's going to be like $60,000. So
or 5 years.
Yeah, or 5 years. Yeah. So I'm not,
which is perfectly reasonable.
I'm not doing that. So yeah, maybe 4 to 5 years, get rid of it. I don't drive nearly like I used to. The problem with when I had the Veloster was I was driving something crazy like 1,500 miles. It wasn't that crazy.
Well, you were doing almost 100 miles a day commute, like I am now.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
It's miserable, and it just destroys your vehicle.
Tell me about it. Now try doing that with a 200,000-mile Blazer.
Yeah, exactly.
That you despise.
Why do you hate it?
Dude, I don't know, but there's just... I hate that truck. I hate it.
You're just bored with it?
Does it jiggle?
So
is it loud?
So there's a rag joint in the steering column.
Oh yeah,
of those vehicles that and so I think that's part of why it has a ton of steering play.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you're not really like even if I just reach over to like change something in the HVAC because it's not like it should be and so it's annoyingly complicated to do and I can't do it without taking my eyes off the road, you'll be 3-4 lanes over. Shit's out of control. I don't like that and like I figured it would just feel like my S10 but a little bit taller. But the problem is that like even though it's significantly smaller than a Blaze or than a Suburban or a Tahoe, it just feels huge. And I don't like that. I don't like feeling huge.
You want to drive the Avalanche?
But see, that's the thing. Like, I swear that the Blazer and the Avalanche, because I've driven, I mean, I drive a big fucking van for work every day.
Right.
And that little Blazer that's almost half the size of my 1-ton dually axled cube van I use for fiber splicing, they feel the same driving down the road.
Really?
Yes, I hate that Blazer. Because it doesn't feel anything like my S10, and I despise it. I just want it out of my life. I can't even describe how... I've never, ever not wanted a vehicle like I don't want that one.
That's interesting. I didn't like the way the Trailblazer drove.
I don't like it. I don't know why. There's just something about it. I hate it.
I never trusted the Maxima. Like I was I thought that transmission was a ticking time bomb. I was like, Jess, we gotta get rid of this.
That's the worst fucking feeling ever.
I was like, at 84,000 miles, like we gotta get rid of this fucker. Like I realized the last transmission weighed it to 140,000. But
Yeah,
we gotta get rid of this thing.
But that had that 3.5 connected to it. That had like 1 billion times more torque than the one in the Rogue
it had
did.
290 horsepower. I'm not sure.
the Rogue
245 torque, I think.
The Rogue was a fleet vehicle that probably did a ton of highway miles.
Yeah. Yeah,
which I'm sure is a lot better on a CVT than city driving.
Well, like you said with the economy button in yours, when you put the sport button in the Rogue, it just made the CVT transmission switch really weird. Like it shifted super weird. And I'm convinced that I used that sport mode twice, and that's what killed it. I didn't beat
It's
on
the
it.
most irresponsible thing he's ever done.
It's the most
Sport mode?
Yeah.
Sport mode in a Rogue.
Yeah, I didn't do anything irresponsible in the 240 at all ever.
Well, that's expected. That's not irresponsible.
He's like,
when it's that
you know what
kind
he's
of
like?
car.
He's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, he's absolutely.
Yeah.
Or like the Incredible Hulk and
Because there was
Bruce
that time
Banner.
when we weren't racing down that road. Do you remember that? When I had
No.
the Trailblazer? Yeah, exactly. You don't remember
I
that.
don't recall.
Yeah,
But he wouldn't do
exactly.
that in the Rogue.
No.
Or the,
Hell no. Or the
no.
Maxima. Or the
Yeah.
Well,
Avalanche.
the Maxima. I raced the Maxima. Autocross.
You did?
I
well,
autocrossed
You
the
know what
Maxima.
you should do
Then I traded in the next week.
next year?
Get rid of this shit. It's broken.
It's broken now.
It's making a weird noise.
You know what you need to do next year?
Yeah.
Is you need to wrap the 240 in like a Hulk theme.
No themes.
Because that's
No
when
themes.
you
I'd go
get
green,
into
but no
that and you
themes.
change. We'll just call it the Hulk.
What if you
I'd go satin chrome green.
Well, yeah, and
Do it. Do that.
We'll
Do
just call it the Hulk.
put some gold wheels on it?
I'll change it every year.
But
I
then,
don't
like,
care.
because you get into that and you're just like, I'm a crazy man. It's just like the Hulk.
Dude, it is so aggressive now with the 3 degrees camber and the 245s.
I love how you're rolling the
whole-
dailies on the Hoosiers.
I don't have other. I'm not gonna roll the 215s on it.
I know.
To
I'm
heck
so
with
proud
that.
of you, though.
So yeah, I drove to Ames on Hoosiers.
I know.
Hell yeah, you did.
I loved it.
Boy.
It was a beast to handle. Like it took some getting used to. I wasn't comfortable in it until I drove home.
So on that note then, you put that reducing valve in, right?
That helps a lot.
Significantly.
But do you feel like it's still
A little.
overpowered?
A little. Well, I took it to Cars and Coffee on Saturday, and then Josh came over and I helped him with his Corvette. That picture? I don't remember. Doesn't matter.
His Z06?
His
yeah,
Z06.
C5.
I helped him align
Is it
his
a Z?
Z06. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I helped him align that, and then when we're working on his car, and I had the epiphany that I'm the biggest moron in the world, and the reason I'm having such bump steering issues is because when I aligned it the first time, I literally pulled everything off and then put it all back together, and then my steering wheel was
Spun?
about a 180, so
Right.
my whole steering rack was basically shifted half a turn. So then I aligned it. While the rack thought it was half a turn, so I take a corner and I think I'm going into the ditch because my bump steering would just
one
throw
way.
me.
Right.
Oh.
So as soon as he left, I pulled the whole thing apart and straightened it all out, and sure enough, it was a full half turn.
Damn.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I could go almost a full turn to the left and 2 turns to the right.
What I thought you were going to say, and what I wonder,
Yep.
do you need a power steering pump off of a Corvette? Because that's a similar car in weight
Maybe.
and stuff like that. I wonder if that would maybe that's.
It's not now that I got that reducer in it. It's dropped the flow down to
But maybe that'd be a
fourth of
good
what it
option
was.
for you is get a C4 Corvette pump.
Somebody said that to me. Yeah, I think somebody did say that to me.
Because I feel like that would be a more similar car.
Maybe.
Excuse me, sorry. You can't do that on
Of course you can't.
on this because the bracket's different.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have a Corvette bracket, but it does something really weird. Like it makes the engine wider or something. Like it moves all the accessories out.
So it doesn't fit. Oh,
It
because
doesn't.
you need a whole serpentine,
because
wouldn't you?
the
Yep.
truck is on the bottom, the Corvette's on the side, and then the Camaro's on top, right?
Yeah, I mean
His
this
is different because his
yeah,
came
mine's-
out of
yeah,
a
yours-
Caprice.
yours is different.
but it does something weird to it. I can't remember. Maybe it runs into the
course.
frame rail of the RX-7, but you can't. For some reason you can't. I mean, you could probably retrofit it to make it work.
Surprised
but-
they don't. I mean, maybe nobody's thought about it, but
The other trick that I've heard of is put a bigger pulley on it
yeah,
to slow it down.
yeah.
So I'm gonna put the reducer in
the reducer seems to be enough.
and then see what that's like. I mean, in drifting, you probably want it a little bit overpowered,
Yeah.
enough that it's still drivable in a straight line.
Because it'll come back to zero a little easier.
Yeah. Plus, I got so I'll update on this too, or on the subject. But I looked at I took the knuckles out of the RX-7. I was prepared to modify them, and then I decided that they're cast iron, which cast iron welding is different. You have to preheat it.
Yeah.
And so I just went, nah, I'm not doing that.
Wise decision.
Yeah, I don't want to break a connecting point for a tie rod because that'd be a bad day.
But you have to like dunk them in sand when you're done too to like make sure they cool.
Heat dissipates slowly.
At the right speed and evenly.
I'm not a good enough welder for any of that, so I just decided I'm not doing that. Villains Drift makes a kit that is extremely affordable. It's $300 basically, and so they take knuckles that basically they've sourced or people send in, and they modify them so they move that tie rod point back just like I was going to, and they send them back to you, and then they send you lower control arm extensions, and the new ones that they have additional caster built into them. So I'm looking forward to that because that'll be good. I had the old straight set that I bought from Zach. These are kind of bent one direction, so you can add in more caster to the front, which helps. And then you get new tie rod ends, and you get a rack spacer, and I think there's something else. I can't remember. But yeah, for $300 or $315 or whatever, it's not even worth. Don't even think about it.
No, you couldn't
get
them. You couldn't have done that
individually. No, and I want to do a video on the difference because I want to show people because I've still got mine. I told Villains I'd send them in because they really do need them because they need cores. It's not like sending O'Reilly's a core where who cares? It's like
they get 10,000
they're a small
a day,
shop.
Who cares?
Yeah, they're a small shop, and so I will send them my cores. But what I wanted to do first is do a video to show how they move that connecting point back, and people can see that, and then I'll look at some of the other things that are included in that kit, and then I'll show it installed. So we will do that video, if that sounds good to you, Robbie.
That sounds wonderful.
Because I think that would be helpful for people, because then I couldn't find any pictures of it installed, oddly enough, which I thought was really weird, because they sell tons of these things. I don't know why, but there's a couple YouTube videos on it, but I think this will help people determine if that's the right setup for them or not. And they make it for, I think, the FCRX7 with the S4 lower control arms, and then the S13, it sounds like.
Probably,
the S14 is different. I don't know why.
Really?
I think maybe it is. Maybe that's not true.
I don't know.
So if you have an S chassis or you have an FC, check out Villains. They've got some cool stuff, and they are building a drift track.
Hell yeah!
Where are they? Are they
Washington, I think.
Oh, so it doesn't matter to us.
But it seems amazing to me that in this day and age that somebody's building a drift track that's kind of like a grassroots company. You know what I mean? Some things came together. I think some people donated some money. You can buy a membership.
Yeah.
So it just kind of worked out for them.
Is there anything in the world that sounds greater than a country club racetrack?
No, that sounds perfect.
Does that not like the greatest thing in the whole
There's 60
world?
acres for sale, like right down by us. And I told Justin, it would be really great here.
True.
Just not having it.
It'd be stupid not to. It's a wise land is always a wise financial investment.
Always,
Robbie.
always. Plus, Des Moines is only going to grow.
You never come out poorly.
That's very true.
And as we've talked on the show multiple times, if I remember correctly, even with Alex Roy, who I would consider an expert in the category, tracks are only going to become more popular.
It's true.
So you'd be
Now's the time to buy.
right. Buy while they're low.
Yep.
Buy low, sell high, Robbie.
Exactly.
Absolutely. The angle kit is for the S13 and S14, and they have diff stubs, and they have a handbrake and some other parts. So if that's something you're interested in, check that out. But we'll do the video and show people all about that because that's pretty cool. So I'll be putting that in this weekend, changing the power steering rack and putting the power steering back in and trying not to blow power steering fluid on everything.
Probably a good idea.
Because you remember on the last one, it has hard lines that go through the stupid swap kit and then have to connect back into the rack.
Oh, yeah. Which means you got to
fucking
redo
dumb.
that again,
Nope.
don't you?
AN fittings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Smart.
But they don't quite make the right 12 millimeter to AN fitting for this application. But we're going to see if we can make it work. Hopefully
There's
lower
adapters and reducers and all.
Yeah, it just needs a seal. It doesn't have that O-ring in it. Like it's like an O-ring AN fitting. It's got an O-ring in it that it smashes when you tighten it. It doesn't have that. It's just the nipple.
Oh, okay.
So it should seal anyway, but I'm gonna put like a copper washer on it, smash the shit out of it,
Yeah.
and then hope for the best.
Some Teflon tape.
Teflon tape, copper washer, smash the shit out of it. I don't see
Literally what
what
they tell you not to do with the AN fittings, but
Well,
yeah,
probably won't
but,
smash the shit out of it.
But if it's different,
Make sure it's tight.
yeah. Because I know what they I know when we did I did the oil filter relocation kit, they specifically said just tight. If you over tighten it, you'll fuck it all up.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Is that because that's aluminum though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't
No, mine are steel, but like on those types of fittings, when it's exact metal to metal contact, not because yours is missing that O-ring, but for those specifically,
I think that's part of where my oil leak came from on my S10 was an AN fitting for the turbo kit that was
over tightened, and then
right. So you can get on it with a wrench and it will never stop turning.
yeah, that's where it's probably leaking from.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
It never
Don't do that.
stops.
Rip the threads out of it.
Yeah, I think it's just
Yeah.
totally bugged.
So not that tight.
Yeah, don't do that.
right.
Just shy of that tight.
Snug.
Snug it up. Make sure it's sealed.
Right.
Good to
It's
go.
not one of those deals where you go all you've got and then another quarter
And then
turn.
hit it with a hammer.
No, it's
no.
right
not
there.
that far.
Yeah.
So those are some good updates. I'm hoping May, possibly. We'll see. May 12th is coming up pretty quick, but we'll
is.
see. May 12th ramping up here pretty fast.
I actually kind of have some updates.
Do you?
Adam has updates.
I do, which doesn't ever happen.
Let's do that.
No, let's do it.
So
We'll
weekend,
marathon this show.
last weekend, I was at home. Father and I went to a handful of different junkyard things that he knows. Turns out one of the guys that he knows, we were looking for parts for him, but one of the guys he knows has a lot of later model stuff, and he's got more than one S10 with a 2.2.
Oh,
And one of those, I think I can get the motor for $100. I think
Dude.
that'd be
I
awesome.
think I have to pull it, but that's fine.
You can do
That's
that.
cheap.
He thought it was relatively low mileage. It did run. There's no dash in it, I don't think.
Okay.
There were two of them there. I don't remember which one was the one with a dash and which one was the one without. There was one with 89,000 miles on it that I think he sold.
Okay.
So I don't get that one, which I was real bummed out about. That was $400, which I felt worth it.
Yeah.
But so I may have a motor for the S10 sooner than later.
Oh, that'd be
We'll see
great.
how that goes. I'm not 100% sure because, unfortunately, I'm still waiting for some tax return money because the state is slow.
Damn it.
The state was super slow
Yeah,
this year.
They were super slow last year, too.
Were they?
Yeah.
I just
didn't
don't recall that.
I got my federal tax return, and then like a month and a half later, I got my state.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it was 6 weeks after.
Yeah, and so I'm still
State one.
waiting for my state to show up, which I need for that. So
Yep.
not that really matters, but hopefully it's still there. I'll have a motor. I started looking at the one I've got, kind of
Wait.
getting my ideas where I'm at. So there's a few little things I want to find. I need to find like a certain year Jeep Grand Cherokee so I can get the steering bar out of that so I can delete the rag joint, because for whatever reason there's a piece on a Jeep Grand Cherokee perfectly fits in the place of the rag joint on my S10. Whatever. And I want to do some other little things. I want to move the oil drain off the dipstick and onto the pan. Since I have the motor out of the truck, I can do that.
Yeah.
I need to replace probably most, if not all, of those AN lines, because I think that's where my oil leak was coming from. So there's some prep work I want to do, but hopefully that stuff's going to start coming back together again,
That'd be awesome.
because I desperately want that Blazer out of my life.
And then sell it.
That's the plan, yeah.
Sell a Blazer.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So
Sweet. What'd you do other than not drive around your neighborhood?
I went to the car shows and did the
you were
Yes.
able to get out of your neighborhood.
Yes.
Which is good.
And I'm working on my alignment. It still pulls a little bit to the left, so I'm going to try to dial it in this weekend, but that's whatever. But my HOA decided that our gravel roads needed speed bumps, which really fucks me
the most
when I'm
ridiculous
driving
thing.
the 240. Because I'm already going like a mile an hour because
Right.
I'm driving the 240 on gravel.
Right.
Now we're just going to put speed bumps in because people can't handle gravel roads, apparently.
I can't imagine anybody's driving that fast around that neighborhood, but
I've seen not the one by my house, because you're an asshole if you're not dragging your brakes going down that hill.
Yeah.
I mean really. But
We wouldn't know. We've never been there.
you've never come out.
never been invited.
Josh came out.
Josh was invited.
Yeah, Josh had a Corvette. You see how that works out?
Yeah, it's funny. isn't
LS
it?
friends get
LS
invited
friends.
over.
Yeah, LS friends can't get you over.
Now you'll never go.
I don't get to go
'Cause you
now.
don't own
I
LS
don't own
anymore.
LS anymore. Maybe I can sneak the Denali in there or something.
There you go.
I'll allow it.
Fits in with the neighborhood, I guess. It's all right.
Yeah.
A Genesis should fit in with the
It's not an LS,
I
though.
know, but it's very like.
Well, this is a very interesting HOA. It's for a certain type of person.
They're not actually the worst speed bumps in the world. They're pretty flat. I think I could get the 240 over it, based on this picture, but I can, if I go right and then add another quarter mile to my trip out, I can go around it.
What a pain in the dick.
Yep. One guy lost his mind when they announced it that they were putting him in, because he's at the other end of it and he's stuck. Like, he has to go over one. Just ripped into the president. You know, like there was.
Does he have something that's a problem with?
Oh no, I'm pretty sure he drives pickup.
Oh.
He was the one that was speeding. That's the problem.
Yeah,
That might be.
but like, yeah, I mean, well, the speed limit can't be enforced. It's not a real road because
Right.
it's not public. But so I
Gated community. We get it, right?
Yeah,
we
We
stop
get it.
rubbing
yeah,
it in.
Yeah.
but it's super silly that we put speed bumps on a gravel road, and I don't know. I had to call up to clarify. I was like, so where exactly does this go? Because you kind of fucked me. I mean, really. What am I supposed to do here?
Did he respond with, that was the plan, get out of my neighborhood?
No, he goes, no, we're going to put it right, like 50 feet north of your place. And I was like, well, so I can go right and then go south a little bit and then take a left and I'm fine? Yeah, there's no speed bumps on that hill. I was like, fine, whatever. Go deal with that other guy because he's about ready to shoot you, I think.
Ha.
Like, he literally personally attacked him. Like, just went ape shit, attacking him like to his core. He's like, because you were in the army doesn't mean you get to dictate us. It's like, whoa, way too far.
Triggered. Jeez.
Yep.
How does one go about securing a speed bump to dirt?
I think they're just anchored in there.
They just put like spikes in it.
They have to.
For those that aren't watching the video, it's plastic, right?
Yeah, I think
Plastic
they're
speed
like the
bump?
rubber speed bumps. They're only a couple inches tall, so I mean it's enough to slow you down, but it's not like really invasive. So they could be a lot worse than they are.
KW Suspension makes this kit that has like a little bag on it.
Yep.
And it's not actually a part of the suspension travel.
But it lifts you up for these
But you can
situations.
lift up like 2 or 3 inches.
Fortune has one now too.
There you
No
go.
shit.
Fortune for sure makes that for the 240.
Yeah, it's like a little. It looks like a little canister thing, and it's
Yep,
just like
it's
a
right at the top.
pneumatic.
It's right at
It's
the
to
top.
get you over top of speed bumps.
That's exactly what it's
for your people. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
because they're fucking expensive too. Yeah,
I'm sure they are.
Yeah. Well,
I think you can only get them on like the 510s or something. I don't know.
Oh. Anyways, I
Worth
like
it.
that. It's kind of annoying, but at the same time, not a big deal.
it's dumb.
It is
It is a little silly,
but-
and yeah, to your point, like why on gravel?
because they're gonna have to pull them out every year for snow removal and all that shit. So
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So they're gonna have to take them
Oh.
up. So now it's a maintenance issue.
and they're not cheap.
I'm sure they're not, and that's your money.
Yeah, which is another reason people were bitching.
They're let's see here, Robbie. I'm on Fortune's website. They are $2,800.
Yeah,
That's not that. That's not that
I'm
bad.
not doing that,
That's
though.
not as bad as I
No.
expected them to be.
No. Wait a second. That's only on the. I think that's on the 500 series. So you're getting a $1,200 set of coilovers and putting a $1,600 lift system on them.
Nah,
so
I'm good.
that
That
sounds
seems
kind of
reasonable.
disagree.
No,
that sounds dumb.
That's awful.
Robbie will just drive the extra quarter mile.
I will.
Yeah, S13, S14, S15. Yep, here you go.
Yeah,
2,700. Ooh, it's a bargain on yours.
Damn, son.
And then poor Josh basically ruined his Corvette driving it
Well, yeah.
a mile of gravel.
Just as well.
I thought he was just going to leave.
Salvage
I
it.
thought he was just going to leave.
He's going to leave it there.
Was he crying?
And put that in something else. I'm out of here.
I was making Corvette jokes the whole time. Like we're wrenching, and I was. He goes, "You can put it up against the control arm and then just let go of the wrench if you want, so we can tighten it." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't want to dent it or
Is
leave."
that made out of fiberglass? I don't even know.
I didn't want
Is
to
this
leave a mark.
aluminum? What the hell is this?
I didn't want to leave a mark. I know how you Corvette guys are.
Was he wearing socks with sandals and cut off shorts?
No, he had like
Dude, shorts.
Yeah, like
he
an
has
actual-
to get a denim jacket. Like if he doesn't get a denim
No,
jacket,
no.
what's the point?
We can get him some George probably.
He's got to wear something, man. Like mandals with socks or something. Or no, those New Balance.
New Balance. Well, what are you wearing?
Whoa.
Yeah, what are you
Whoa.
wearing, Adam?
Leave the New Balance out.
He's wearing New Balance. He's worn those forever.
Leave the New Balances out of this.
There's memes about those, Robbie.
I know. They
those
make-
are the ones.
Yeah, they
Did
make,
you not see this conversation we had on Facebook with me and Booty and Josh?
No, I missed it.
And that was with the brats with ketchup and shit.
Oh yeah, well I caught part of that. Yeah.
It got way out of control.
Yeah, he's been wearing those New Balance shoes since like 07.
Forever. Since like 97. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
but when you're young and you don't have a kid, it's not as obvious. But like,
it's obvious.
he has a 2-year-old now, and he's wearing. And
Like I don't even try them on.
beefy tee.
I just walk in and I know that like this is the number I need on my New Balance. That's the size. Let's get out of here, Katie.
Dad thing to do. It's in and out. You
We gotta
go
get in and out. Just straight in, straight out when we're leaving. We got
new
things to do.
White. They're white. Also,
I know they're white.
I think they make black ones.
They do
that are
make
I
white.
would
black
never wear a black tennis shoe. It endlessly annoys
I can't
my
wear a white
girlfriend.
shoe.
I can't wear a black shoe. It endlessly drives my girlfriend nuts.
That made my day. I noticed that.
It's so giddy
It's
about.
because it's new Instagram handle and the
Soccer
thing
Dad
and the
and
minivan
then-
and the deal.
Yeah, for those that aren't on the group, I changed my Instagram handle to Soccer Dad'em. It's temporary, but it's there.
It's living that lifestyle. It's good shoes.
He's made a choice.
All right,
Well, let's finish this marathon.
shall we?
We're gonna
Let's
do
go
all
fast.
the news. We're gonna knock any of
Lightning
these out.
round. You ready?
Yeah, speed round, Adam. Let's go.
The rear-wheel drive R8 is $26,200 cheaper than the all-wheel drive R8.
Insanely cheaper.
That's
$26,000.
a lot for
I
a
would
drive
buy-
shaft.
I would have. It's a lighter car. It's only mildly slower,
Yeah, 0.2
like
of
a
a second.
tenth of a second or 2/10 of a second.
By the way, 3.5 seconds 0 to 60.
Weak.
That is
How
weak.
fast do you want to go?
Much faster.
Really? For 100?
Well,
Because how much is it?
for
$139,000?
Should be going faster than 3.5.
It's a supercar.
Fast Corvette go.
Which one? The new one?
Anyone that's less than 140.
2.9.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
rest my
say
case.
sub threes.
But it's not a R8.
Exactly.
It's not a V10 R8.
That should be better.
I think that's the V8 R8.
They don't make that one anymore.
They don't make a V8 R8.
They stopped making. They don't
I'd
even,
rather have a V8.
That's
R8.
what I'm saying.
Put some turb skis on that.
They don't make the. Yeah.
It's $55,000
You know what we
cheaper
should do?
than the Plus.
Is we should be watching Copart for one with a blown up motor. We could LS swap it.
That would be
You get
wonderful.
the. You get the.
You
car
could come
that
to my
want.
house.
You could. Yeah.
Dude,
That'd
there
fit
was
I'd even
in.
help you.
when Superstorm Sandy went through New York. Remember
Yeah.
that like years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody was selling. There was an R8 that had been totally submerged.
Yep.
Turns over, won't start. They were like, the electronics are toast, and I was like,
That's the car.
this isn't the worst idea I've ever had, because I'm just going to turn this thing into a race car. I'm just going to gut it.
Yep.
You know, I could have like it sold for like $8,000 or something like that.
Oh God.
Great race car.
Yeah.
How sick would
I
that have
remember.
been?
I remember when you were considering it.
Oh, it would have been so cool.
You had the GT at the time, and we talked about this
I
at
know.
length.
I know. It would have been so cool. Put a V8 in that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Cheap. I think
540 horsepower.
I think that's the one I'd buy.
That's probably the one I would also
It'd
buy.
be fun.
Except
Rear-wheel drive's fun.
Except I would buy a ZR1 instead, and be dead. I think probably.
Yeah.
His
So-
death machine.
I would get a Lotus for sure.
He'd get a
I'd be
Lotus.
I'd be
I would.
way
You know
slower.
what?
As
I'd
much-
probably drive the ZR1 and go. This is no, absolutely not.
As much as I kind of hate myself for this, I still really, really like the R8
I know you do.
because I've really like left the Audi life. I'm not into 99% of their product line right now.
You could get a Viper ACR, and that's the Dodge life.
I know, right?
that price?
It's the Turbo Dodge, not Turbo Dodge life.
I'd rather have the
Dodge.
Viper for sure.
I know, but I think I really, really want. I've wanted an R8 for so long. At one point in my life, I was fully prepared to go to Afghanistan for a year as a contractor
Yep.
and save money, my pennies and my dimes for the sole purpose of buying an R8, not to like put a down payment on a really nice house or really pad my retirement fund or anything. Like I was calling Geico for insurance quotes on an R8. That's what I was doing with my life. So I feel like it needs to happen, right? Even if it's the worst decision of the decisions I can make, I still want one.
I understand. I get it. I mean, that's not my car of choice, but I totally get it. I totally get it.
Lightning round. Harley is offering a free motorcycle to college interns.
If you're like a hipster millennial douchebag.
Yeah, if you're a social media
Yeah,
major.
so this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
So for
I see what they're doing, though.
Oh, I
eight
get
different
it.
college students, they are offering a motorcycle and riding lessons as long as you travel across the country and go to Coachella and document it on your Instagram like a douchebag.
Yeah, so they're trying
So
to.
if you think that fits you, hit up Harley.
So they basically want to take hipsters, teach them how to drive motorcycles. They'll document it on YouTube to their millions of followers. And then, since they're influencers already, they're trying to just make Harley cool to the kids,
Yeah.
basically.
It's probably not the worst idea.
No,
unless
it's
one
not
of them,
a bad idea.
Unless one of them dumps it, and then
You mean when?
Someone
Sure.
will dump it during. I think what they're hoping for is that they'll only dump it during like the training course when it's like 10 miles an hour.
Yeah, because they are going to
going
put them
around
through a training
cones.
course.
And then their worst nightmare is going to be when they get done and someone's YouTube video is them topping that sucker out in Utah and then dead. They lose it in front of a
and there's no one to save them. Yeah. Can I side note real quick, even though it's the lightning round? I just want to put out a PSA that we should probably be doing annually moving forward.
Okay, I'm good with this.
Now that
I'll put it on the calendar.
Yeah, please do, because now that I'm 28.
And you have a responsible car.
I have a responsible car, and I got a warranty and all this stuff. I want to tell people. I just want to, not yet, but I just want to tell everybody.
Oh, you should try some sometime.
I might try them now if they're that great.
Don't do that.
No, I won't. I'm going to replace my Vans with Vans because I'm still holding on to them. It's still in my 20s. So
hey, I got the Pumas. It's all good.
It's still in my 20s. So anyway, I would like to put out a PSA to tell people that your Harley Davidson and your straight pipe Subaru are not cool. And even though it's spring and you want to get out there and rip it up, it's not impressive. I've seen Chris Forsberg tandem with Ryan Turek in a Ferrari-powered GT86. And your Harley Davidson that makes 80 horsepower is not impressive to me. So I just want to let everybody know that.
Especially at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have that problem.
You live close enough to a main road there. I'll bet some asshole goes ripping by there at midnight.
It's this way. It's down my residential street where this doesn't outlet anywhere. I don't know why they do that.
So he lives down there is what we're getting at.
No, it's just, I hear it. Like people ripping around and stuff. And I'm like, why?
My Harley asshole lives literally 2 blocks or two houses down the road, just like right there.
Yeah.
And he'll fire that bad boy, wow, 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 just as loud as he can, and then he'll drive away. But that thing has 2 throttle positions as far as he's concerned.
Yep.
On or off?
Yeah. Wide open, idle. You should hear him cross the railroad tracks. It's terrifying.
That'd be funny.
And if that statement triggers you, you might be the problem.
Right. Either you know a guy or you are the guy. Let's be real here.
I really am getting old because there's literally straight pipes on the Camaro, which doesn't run right now. But I thought that was cool when that was.
And now you're sick of them.
Now I'm like, I hate it's a road. Like, why does it have to? Why do you have straight pipes on this vehicle? And why are you at 4,000 RPM in the middle of town? There's no reason for that.
Right.
Stop it. Go to a racetrack.
Welcome to the club.
Being old.
Even the 240 too. I was like, it's kind of, for being an LS Swap 240, it's kind of quiet because it's got the muffler.
Yeah.
And the what's the word I'm looking for?
Resonator.
I was gonna say resonator.
Certainly not a cat, right?
I actually.
No. I mean, yes. Of course.
Yes,
we live in Iowa.
Wait, what year is your car?
Oh, it's for sure.
Oh, yeah, he's got cats.
95. Of course, it's got cats.
New ones.
We live in Iowa.
Yeah.
None of that matters.
Shut up.
Allegedly.
But
I'm not even against people going out on like county highways and ripping around and stuff, but like in the middle, do you have to drive through Beaverdale at 90 miles an hour in third? Why are you doing that?
Right.
Stop it.
You know how many motorcycles there are up by my place? None of them.
That might be an advantage to living on gravel.
The problem is there's the new neighbors. Their kid clearly was gifted a 350Z for his birthday, and it's straight piped. It's loud as fuck. I thought maybe like, oh man, new neighbors, loud 350Z, we could be friends.
It's the
no,
kid.
I realized it's the kid from getting. He comes home from high school, hops in this car, and then leaves. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
He has 2 cars as a high schooler?
Yeah, I think he comes home with like a Jeep or something, or like an older,
like a $30,000 Jeep.
No, like an older Cherokee.
There's not like a cheap Jeep though. They're all kind of expensive.
Even the cheap
around
Jeep's
here.
still
It might not even be a Jeep. I don't know. It's like one of those off-road looking things.
So anyway,
it's not an FJ. Robbie doesn't care.
Getting older.
True.
Lightning round. VW wants Pike Peak electric record
This car's sick.
with the IDR.
It's super cool.
So cool looking.
I don't think he's gonna get it.
857.118 is the current record.
No, it's not.
That's the electric record.
The electric record's 907.
907.
907.
What's the 857 regular record?
I don't even think.
No,
Did I make that up?
yeah, you did.
Sweet. Never mind. What is it? 907?
907.222 is Rice Millen's PPO3 record.
Right.
Here's where I have problems with Rice Millen's. Here.
Reese.
I said Rice.
Reese.
Sorry. Reese Millen's PPO3, which kind of looks like a spec racer anything with wings, had 1,368 horsepower, 1,593 pound-foot of torque, and weighed 2,645 pounds. And then this Volkswagen has basically half that. 680 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. And I don't think it's going to do it.
They're they're gambling on
Arrow.
Yeah. And I don't know that's going to work either.
I think that's too big of a gap. I'm not like, if this had similar power, I wouldn't think twice about it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, they're going to get it.
Yeah.
But it's half.
Yeah.
That's where I'm getting hung up on. If they do it, that's a huge hat off to Arrow, clearly. But that's a huge
factory development.
Yep.
So
It says here that Reese set the record at 8:57:11. That's on the drive.
Well,
Romain
basically every other website I checked today said 9:07:222.
I don't remember what
that number's not even on here.
I don't remember what the current record is, but like the flat out fastest time, but it's like legitimately 30 some seconds faster than everybody else.
Jesus.
It was set in a Peugeot by I can't remember his name. He's a World Rally.
Was it recently?
I want to say it was 4 or 5 years ago, probably. So it's crazy. I want to go to Pikes Peak really bad.
I've driven on it. I've driven on before it was paved. Long time ago.
Yeah, so I think I went there when I was a wee lad.
Yes.
As well. But
so who knows what that record is, right?
Yeah, I had two websites. I confirmed it on multiple websites that it was 9:07, but maybe I'm wrong.
Like we've said before, they copy and paste each other, so nobody fact checks anything.
On CNET, it's 8:57:8.
Yeah, like I said, nobody fact checks anybody.
Sorry, guys.
Lightning round, Global Rallycross. You put shits down, which might be. Well, let's keep it.
They shit down.
They shit down.
It's the first time that autocorrect hit, because I'll try to type shit and it'll put shot.
Yep.
So that's the first.
Yeah, they have a lot of unpaid bills. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Horrible management.
Yeah, Michigan State went after them for a $76,000 fee.
Big money.
For the Bell Island event, which happened in 2015, so they haven't paid that. Thompson Motor Speedway Park is seeking $29,000 in a revenue sharing agreement. They've paid them $6, so the total was 35 or 36.
Yep.
But they still owe them 29, and they won't return their phone calls. So
you know who certainly needs money? The state of Michigan and racetracks.
Yeah, agreed.
So
yep.
It's not good.
The problem is everyone keeps throwing this out there that people that aren't familiar with it reads that this is Red Bull series, like this is Red Bull's racing.
Right.
It's not.
They're a title sponsor.
They just sponsored it.
That's it.
And that's all they have to do with it. So everyone's like, well, why doesn't Red Bull just put more money? No, it's not Red Bull's money.
Right.
But
yeah, Red Bull gave them money and they did something with it.
Right.
It's gone.
And then to add to
blow.
And yeah. And then to add to this Global Rallycross got rid of their top tier supercar class last year, which isn't going to help them at all because people wanted to see that. And then also IMG, which does the FIA World Rallycross, or is that the right one?
This is global.
Yes.
And the other one is, I just think, World or maybe
the FIA one is
right.
But they started a new series called the American Rallycross, and everyone jump shipped already. Right. So like Hoonigan, Andretti Autosport, Subaru's team race team already went over there. So I mean, everyone's jump ship already. It's not coming back.
No.
Global Rallycross is done.
I think when I was at the time that I read all these, they hadn't officially announced that they were done. They just said we're not racing in 2018. But I wouldn't plan on seeing them in 2019.
No, Red Bull's going to be gone. They're going to be helping this American
Red
Rallycross.
Bull's not coming back after having their name dragged through the mud like this.
No. Yeah, it absolutely makes Red Bull look really bad.
Yeah.
Because if you're not familiar with it.
If you don't understand how it works.
Because Red Bull's name is the first thing on the title in every one of them.
Right.
So, did we get through the lightning round?
Ish.
We didn't do too bad.
We did a pretty good quickie.
We didn't get quite through. We're not quite at 2 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're doing
That's
okay.
not as bad as I thought.
All right.
We went through a lot of information, though.
Yeah,
had a good interview with Jake.
Yeah, a couple updates.
Did a lot of updates.
Some BS.
Speaking of updates, so Formula Drift's going to be at Orlando this weekend. So when this comes out, that competition will be completed. I'll do a quick wrap up the following week. So the weekend after this podcast comes out, tune in and we'll do a Orlando update. Couple things. Federico, his car appears to be ready.
Yeah.
It sure looked like it.
Mr. 599 himself is going to be back on the track, which will be sweet. Looking forward to him doing well. And then
Kevin Lawrence.
Mr. Kevin Lawrence decided that he's going to send his
good.
S chassis out there.
As long as we can get Robbie to put away the voodoo doll, we'll be good.
I think he stopped. I think that's why it all came together. Because after we got
We
mad
called
at
him
him,
out on
we
it.
got mad at him.
Yeah.
He didn't think that we knew.
He felt bad.
And then he felt bad.
About time.
And then all of a sudden, bam, Kevin Lawrence has a car, which to me says conspiracy.
Odd timing,
obviously.
isn't it?
Yeah. So thanks, Robbie, for
What do
letting
you have to say for yourself, Robbie?
Kevin finish his
Dance,
car.
my puppets, dance.
So he's got his new livery out, which is pretty cool. It's like
Yes.
gold and brown, which sounds terrible.
It's kind of
but it's
maroon, kind of brown. I'm not sure what it is.
some black, but I like this
Looks
white
good,
car,
though.
but this one's good too.
Yeah.
So he's going to be out there, and so will everybody else. Oh, Stratton, he got his Corvette back together, so he will
Perfect.
be there. I think everybody's going to be there. I haven't heard about the ATS yet, but I think Dean with the Vipers, he's going to be there.
Oh, great.
Sweet.
So I think everybody's going to be there. The only one would be whoever's running the ATS, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. So
There's Formula One race this weekend too.
Yep.
Formula One,
It's not 3 in the morning, so I'll probably stay awake for it.
boom.
That'll be good.
We'll do a little wrap up, and doesn't matter to the people listening to this right now, but we'll do a thing on the group to get people engaged. You know, do the little
Yeah, it'll be
topic
fun.
thread, but it's all after the fact. It's unfortunate timing, but what are you gonna do? So anyway, we'll catch you guys next week.